I am so deeply honored to be here with you, Cynthia, Betsy, Alton, Preston. I sit at your feet and I learn from you, and so it is a privilege to be sitting at this table next to you. Thank you. When I first met Peter Gomes, one knows that one does not see Peter Gomes, just see him, one hears him. When I first heard Peter Gomes, it was my first week at Divinity School. The year was 2004. It was our convocation, and he was delivering it. His voice echoed and boomed across the stained glass, and my heart swelled from listening to him. He said, "It is urgent that religious analysis be provided in a world where religions and their policies make the front page news." As I was sitting there and hearing him, I knew that that is why I came to Harvard Divinity School. As a Sikh American, I came to Harvard Divinity School to understand the whirlwind that was raging in our country and tearing apart my community. You see, in the aftermath of September 11th, we know that hate violence broke out on city streets across the United States. Sikh and Muslim Americans caught people who saw us as perpetually foreign, as automatically suspect, as potentially terrorist, even though my family had been in the United States for more than 100 years. I went from city to city, from home to home, sometimes when the blood was still fresh on the ground, and I heard the stories of people longing to belong, longing to be seen the way that they saw themselves, but uncertain if they ever would be, ever could be in a world that was now divided into us versus them. The path of love, Guru Nanak says, the Sikh founder, the path of love is dangerous. If you want to play the game of love with me, then come forth with your head on your hand. I didn't know what that meant until I found myself on a street corner in New York City, August of 2004, holding my film camera. This was my sword and shield. This is the way I learned how to fight in the aftermath of 9/11, holding the camera when the NYPD officers came in with great force, threw the protesters I was filming down to the ground, saw me filming them, threw me against the wall, arrested me. My hands went numb from the handcuffs. We were taken to a place called Guantanamo on the Hudson, a detention center in New York City where we were kept in cages like animals, and my hand crumpled against my chest. I thought, will stories set me free? My faith began to shatter. A week later, I was listening to Peter Gomes. A week later, I started Harvard Divinity School. So as I was listening to him, my arm was in a splint and my heart was filled with pain. And I thought that the only way to solve this pain, to continue to walk the path of love, was to immerse myself in text. And so I took every course that this university offered on evil, as if Kant and Arendt and Kierkegaard could somehow heal me. And so I remember walking these cobblestone pathways, the pain coming down in torrents as I cried, but the wind, thank God for the wind being so cold here, would dry my tears by the time I arrived in Diana X's class or Michael Jackson's class. So no one quite understood the pain I was holding. It was a really dark time in my life. Divinity School did save me, though. And it wasn't the books. It was the people. I'm here today. I'm still walking this path of love with the hot winds of the world raging around us as they are in this moment. I'm here today because of Michelle Goldhaber. Michelle, my classmate, who we met in Andover Chapel. I was the only Sikh in Divinity School, and every week we had a noon service where a faith community organized a worship service, and because I was the only Sikh, they asked me to organize mine for my faith community. And Michelle said, "Don't worry, I'll help you." And together we brought the Gurdwara, the songs and stories and sounds of my faith tradition into Andover Chapel. We transformed it, and you showed me that I was not a guest here, that I belonged here, that we, a people of many faiths, if we prayed together, we could become brave together. Courage Courage is fear that has said its prayers. And you prayed with me, and you are my sister for life for that. I'm here today because of Valarie K. My name is inside of her name. We were destined to meet. My arm wasn't healing. It was months and months of waking up with nightmares of the police officer who hurt me, and my arm would not heal until I landed on your treatment table. She's an acupuncturist here in Boston. Wow. And she put her hands on my temples, and my tears, they flowed once again, but I wasn't crying alone anymore. You shed tears with me. You held my story, and you, after all these years, you showed me that the way we make change is just as important as the change we make. That too often people who fight for justice embody the dysfunctions, the anger, the rage, the scarcity, the anxiety that we try to heal out in the world, but you said, no, you can do it with joy. Peter Gomes, well, you can do it with joy, with wellness for yourself and for all you touch. I'm here because of you. I'm here today because of Michael Jackson. Michael, where are you? He's teaching. He was upstairs. Michael Jackson, Professor Michael Jackson, his course, The Politics of Storytelling, gave me the theoretical foundation for my life work. That I understood that stories could be redemptive and transformative. And when I left here, I decided that I wanted to walk this path of love by being a storyteller. So yes, I'm a lawyer and a filmmaker and an organizer, but in all of these ways, I tell the stories. I hope to tell the stories to set other people free. And it was Marshall Gans, who is here, who showed me how to use stories strategically to fight for social change as part of social movement. Story of self, us, now. Marshall, your work has inspired me and a whole generation of young people who are walking with your words in our hands this path of love. You are our mentor, our guide, our guru, and we are so grateful to you. Thank you, Marshall. And I'm here because of Kathy, who's sitting next to you. Kathy Anderson, who has since showed me that if I could think of my own life as story, that I might be bold enough, brave enough to keep speaking, even when the fires grow high. In this moment, the fires are raging high. And I have to remember that in every story I have told, in every community that I've been part of, I have seen, just as your love all saved me while I was here at HDS, I have seen people in the darkest places, on the shores of Guantanamo, behind the walls of supermax prisons, in the impoverished corners of our country, in the streets of New York, in a field in Wisconsin when the blood from a mass shooting still soaks the ground. I have seen in these places, in these dark places, people, when they are sitting next to, when they take the hands of people next to them, who pray with them, who make them believe, even when there feels like there's nothing left to believe, that we have faith in each other and therefore faith in the God that lives within us and around us, whether we name that God by God or the stars in the heaven or the trees or the stories that give us solace and meaning. From wherever we draw that love, we feel it pass between us when we take each other's hands. So in all these places, I have learned that courage is only possible in community. And that's why, Susie Hayward, when you sent me that email telling me that I had been nominated and chosen along with these 4, that's why I wrote back saying that I was once again in tears. But this time, I was reminded that even as I was in the midst of the latest hate crime in my hometown, that I wasn't alone. And so, Divinity School, the community at Harvard, you are esteemed and you are known because of the research and scholarship and teaching that you lead here. But please hold the community you lead here in just as high esteem. The mentorship and community you have here can show us that a life of the mind requires the love of community. And that's why, and this is where I'll close, I'm here because of my parents. my mother and my father. I never understood the way that you loved me until I held my son in my arms a year or so ago. And as I held him in my arms, I knew that I would give my life for him. I looked at you both for the first time with new eyes and saw all the ways you had poured your body, your breath, your blood into me so that I could face those hot winds of the world with a warrior's heart and a saint's eyes. You taught me how to do that. I try to love him the way you love me. And I try to take that love and imagine what it might look like if we poured into people who don't look like us, to others, into our opponents, into our communities, into our world. I believe that when we take that kind of love out there, love is revolutionary. I thank you. I love you. And I'm forever indebted to all of you.